Joe Anderson and Al Clopine of Pure Financial Advisors have the answers to your retirement plan. This is your money, your wealth.
Hey, today we're getting excited about retirement and keeping that excitement. There's a ton of things to be excited about. First of all, we're living a lot longer. With that being said, there's more time to travel, to hang out with the grandkids, to volunteer, to get passionate about the things you love and enjoy. The bad thing is, though, we're living a lot longer, so you want to make sure that your money lasts. That's what we're going to get into today. Welcome to the show, everyone. My name's Joe Anderson. I'm a certified financial planner, president of Pure Financial Advisors. I'm with the big man, of course, Big Al Clopine. We will get to him in just a second. We have a great show lined up because I want you to continue to be excited about retirement. If you pay attention over the next half an hour, Al and I are going to get into strategies to make sure that your money lasts as long as you do. That is the financial focus today. All right, we got good news, bad news. Good news is we're living a lot longer. Bad news is we're living a lot longer. When you take a look at life expectancy, just over the past 14 years, look at how much longer that we're living, a couple of years for each men and women. The problem is, how long is your money gonna last? If you take a look at the probabilities of your money lasting as long as you do, it really depends on the strategy that you put together. If you pull out too much money, you are going to run out. You will die broke. You will not be excited about retirement. So you take a look, are you gonna pull out 10% out of your portfolio? 6% or 4%. If you look at the studies, still the 4% rule still matches up. So you want to make sure that you are aware of what you need to do so you can continue to be excited about retirement. Let's break this thing down so you don't run out. Let's bring in Big Al Clopine. Alan, that probabilities of success or failure in retirement is so key because I think a lot of times people have no idea really how much money that they should be taking out or how to stretch that dollar as much as they possibly can by combination of different strategies.
Yeah, and it's funny, Joe, because it doesn't really matter how much you have saved, it's how much you're pulling out of your portfolio relative to what's in there. And as that graph showed, I mean, you look at that, if you pull out 8% out of your portfolio, in all likelihood, within 25, 30 years, you're going to be completely out of money. Now, if you pull out 4%, there's a high likelihood that you'll have plenty of money through retirement. So it's all about living within your means and understanding what you can spend in your portfolio. And so to go along with that, we're going to talk today about a few ways to make your dollar stretch in retirement. So let's start with Social Security maximizers, how to get the most out of your Social Security, and that involves almost each and every one of you. And then how about creating tax-free income? If you've got income that you don't pay taxes on, guess what? More of it's in your pocket and you can live a better lifestyle. And then finally, let's talk a little bit more about spending successfully, figuring out how much you actually can spend at various ages. And Joe, I think, you know, with those three things in mind, you don't have to worry so much about running out of money.
Yeah, I mean, two of the biggest things is Social Security. So most of the time people will take a look at, hey, I'm going to claim Social Security as soon as I can get it. Second biggest thing is that if you can reduce the taxes, right, on the retirement income that you're collecting, guess what? That money's going to stretch out a little bit longer. Let's take a look at Social Security, but because still, even with the knowledge I think that people have, Alan, people are still taking it way too early in our opinion.
Yeah, you look at the graph here in women, over 50% are taking it at the earliest age, 62, and men it's just a little under 50%. And the vast majority, 80% for women and almost 80% for men, are taking it before full retirement age, and almost nobody is waiting till age 70. Now, when you wait till age 70, you end up with a lot more benefits. In fact, I don't think a lot of people know that. At age 62 is the first year, Joe, that you can accept the benefits. But each year that you wait thereafter, your monthly benefit is higher and higher and higher.
Right. I mean, if you take a look, if you take it at full retirement age, right, with this example is age 65, you get $1,800 a month. If you took it at 62, that's a huge reduction. That's $1,400, a 25% permanent reduction for the rest of your life. 25% permanent reduction. If you can hold off until age 70, that benefit increases to about $2,500 per month. But I think it's that instant gratification that we all have. It's like, hey, I put the money in, right? I want to make sure that I receive my benefits, so I'm going to claim it at 62. I mean, there's health issues that you have to consider, of course. Well, but I think there's a lot of political issues that people kind of take a look at and say, hey, I'm going to claim it because it might not be there.
Well, we get that a lot, and the truth is Social Security is actually in decent shape. I mean, when you look at it, in 2033, they say that they're going to only be able to pay out 75%, but that's if they don't make any changes. They'll probably make changes, and I'll tell you, one of the reasons that we really like waiting on Social Security as long as you can, first of all, it's a guaranteed income stream, right? And it's indexed for inflation, and it has partially tax-free. And Joe, we really like tax-free income when it comes to retirement.
Right. If people would take a look exactly how their Social Security's income tax, if you're watching this in California, the state of California does not recognize Social Security as taxable income. So that's a huge benefit. That's about a 9% in some cases a benefit because the state of California is not going to tax it. Even if you're in the highest tax bracket, only 85% of that is going to be subject to tax. So when you start looking at your overall strategy to create the income, you have to take a look at where your money is taxed because you have tax deferred dollars, which is your 401k, your IRAs. You have tax-free dollars potentially. That would be a Roth IRA. And then you have taxable. So I would guess, Alan, that most people's money is sitting all right here because that's the old 401k plan. But if I like up here, this is a Roth because any dollar that comes out of this account, guess what? You don't pay any tax. So we're going to talk about, hey, how do you get money from this account and maybe start putting it up here? Do not avoid this account because the Roth IRA, in Alan and I's opinion, is probably one of the best gifts that the IRS has ever given us. So when you look at diversification, if I can pull dollars from each of these different pools here, if I can have that strategy in place, I could reduce my tax bracket long term. Then you look at pushing out your Social Security a little bit, get that 8% delayed retirement credit. When that higher benefit comes to you, that is going to be tax favored as well. Now you have something. This is a mess. This is what most people's retirement looks like. This is a mess. But if you follow along, I like money up here, tax-free. Most of you have money here. If you can look at a strategy to have a little bit of money in each of these different areas, some here, and some here. So when it comes time to take those distributions, now you have a strategy that you can reduce your taxes long term.
Yeah, Joe, and let's talk about how to get money into the Roth IRA because a lot of people don't really know and it's being underutilized. So the first way that you do it is you can make Roth IRA contributions. And it turns out the IRS allows you to do $5,500 per month. Now, if you're over 50, you can do an extra $100, so it's $6,500. Now, you do need to be working, or your spouse needs to be working. You do have to have earned income, and there are earned income limitations. In other words, if you make too much, you can't contribute. So that's one way to do it. That's like putting a little bit into the Roth, but there's ways to put a lot more.
Right, it's jump-starting it a little bit. So if you have a lot of money in your 401ks, IRAs, 403bs, TSPs, whatever, now you can look at, hey, maybe I take a little bit of off the table here and I can convert those dollars into a Roth. Anyone who has anyone that has a retirement account can do a conversion. There's still so much confusion. There is no age limits. There is no income limits. There's no working requirements. So if you're 90 years old or 30 years old, it makes no difference. If you have money in a retirement account, you can take money from that account and then you can convert it. But then people get confused. Do I have to do it all? No, you have to take a look at what tax bracket that you're in. And maybe you want to fill up the tax bracket that you're currently in. If you're in the 10% bracket, the 15% or 25 or something like that, just take a look at where you are, right? And then maybe if I'm in the 25% tax bracket, I can fill up this pail, right? I can say, all right, well, I'm going to use a Roth strategy to make sure that I'm going to fill up that tax bracket, to fill up the tax bracket. Then, all right, well, now I have a little bit more diversification. So you have to look at your tax bracket. You have to take a look at how much money that you have to really come up with the appropriate strategy.
Yeah, and I think so many people get confused between a contribution and a conversion, and these are two different things. A contribution is taking money out of your trust account. You've already paid tax on it. You contribute it. There's no tax to pay there. But you've already paid tax on it. You have to qualify. You have to have earned income income or your spouse, and you have to be in a certain income level. If it's too high, you can't make a contribution. A conversion, on the other hand, there is no limit, no age limit. You don't have to be working any amount. If you got $1 million, you can convert $1 million. You don't want to, right? Because you'd be in the highest tax bracket. Maybe you convert 20,000 or 80,000 or 90,000, whatever it may be. But you want to take a look at your tax brackets in retirement, your tax brackets today, and figure this out. And you want to do it, you want to have a strategy to do it year after year, not all at once. Have a multi-year strategy, so by the time you retire, you're in a much better position.
I can save you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars long term. Hey, we got to take a break. You do not want to go anywhere, all right? Where am I looking, right? Because we're going to have a game show. I'm going to whoop up on Mike Benier. And then I hit the streets. I wanted to see who's excited about retirement. You should see the people that I ran into. You don't want to miss this. Don't go anywhere. The show's called Your Money or Wealth. Good morning, everyone. Hey, getting excited about retirement yet? Stick around. We're going to do a little game show. Heard of Family Feud? It's called the Pure Financial Feud. Stick around for that. And also, we have to get to the true-false question before we do anything. Let's see how you did here.
Since I qualify for Medicare, I don't have to worry about my medical costs in retirement. And Joe, I'll start with that. That's absolutely false because, you know, the Medicare will handle some of your expenses, but the AARP estimates that you're going to be spending at least $3,000 a year per person on medical expenses. And Fidelity actually estimates a 65-year-old couple will spend $250,000 out of pocket for supplemental insurance, drugs, and medical costs. So don't think Medicare handles everything, Joe. That's kind of a fallacy that a lot of people believe.
Yeah, when it comes to retirement, there's a lot of confusion when it comes to how much money that they actually need and how excited are they. I hit the streets, and I wanted to interview some individuals to see exactly what they felt about retirement. You got to check this out.
You would not believe where I'm at right now. We're at the Gaslamp Quarter, and it's Comic-Con in, oh my goodness. It is mayhem out here, and I'm going to ask a few individuals, how's your retirement?
Hulk retires? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Everything's gonna go to hell, pretty much.
Go on to a random island, try to retire, be as rich as I can, and I don't know, probably sneak out every once in a while to fight some crime.
As far as retiring, you know, Father, he's 9,000 years old now, and being that I'm only 3,500, I'm just a child in his eyes, and he just barely gave me this hammer.
Well, the Jedi Order has a wonderful defined benefits program, so as long as I stay in it for about 30 years, then I can retire, and then I will actually get a defined benefit for the rest of my life.
Retirement? I'll only retire once the Batman's head is on my platter.
Basically, yeah. But you'll never retire.
No, my face will be plastered everywhere down here.
We won't rest till everyone has this gorgeous, grinning smile.
This is true.
$1 million. Oh.
I'm not quite sure, considering there was a nuclear fallout that happened. So I think overall any retirement that involved being alive was a good one.
$100.
20 burritos.
Yeah, just
Probably cost me my baby brother.
not currently. I'm thinking mostly about grad school.
Yeah, it was an interesting experience. Very interesting experience. So that's Comic-Con for you.
Right, and so now we've got an even more
yes. Let's just keep
experience.
this game show rolling. If you think that was great, we're going to do a little game show, Big Al.
Yeah, we are, and I guess I've been tasked to be the host of this show. right? So anyway, here's what we're going to do. We're going to call it Pure Financial Feud. Wow, Joe, you got to stage 2 pretty quickly.
All right, we're ready.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We've got our own Michael Bernier, Senior Financial Planner at Pure Financial Advisors, alongside our own Joe Anderson to see who is going to be able to answer questions correctly. And let's see how you do. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to read some questions. Whoever buzzes in first gets to answer the question. If you get it right, I'll say right. If not, I'll say you missed it. The other person gets an opportunity. Make sense?
Sounds good.
Okay, gentlemen, test your buzzers. Okay.
All right.
You'll be hearing a lot of that one.
Here we go. I think they work.
We're good.
Okay. Here's question number 1. Multiple choice. What percentage of Americans has a personal pension or retirement savings account? 32%, 42%, 54%, or 68%? Michael.
68%.
That is incorrect. Joe.
34.
That is incorrect.
52.
54.
54.
You guys have failed the first answer. Nobody gets credit for that. Okay, question number 2. Maybe you'll do better with this one. What percentage of U.S. workers in the private sector had access to a defined benefit pension plan in 2011? 10%, 20%, 30%, or 40%? Mike?
20%.
20%. That is a correct answer. All right. How about that? Not bad. So we got one for Mike.
What is this, Wikipedia? I mean, where are you getting these questions from?
Wikipedia, of course.
Investopedia.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
this is not helping anyone in their retirement.
Okay, but this question will. Now, and think carefully, guys. What is the penalty for not taking your required minimum distribution at 70.5? 6%. Who did? Mike?
Yeah, 50%.
50%. I didn't even get to read the answers. 6%, 10%, 20%, 50%. Mike, that is right. You've got 2 questions. Joe, a big goose egg. Okay,
Get
next
my butt
one.
kicked here.
Here we go.
Studio audience here.
What expense will avoid the 100% penalty on withdrawal from an IRA when you're under 59.5? Listen carefully. Solar power installation, sporting events, medical expenses, electric vehicle. Mike.
Medical expenses.
That is correct. 3 for Mike. Okay, here we go.
I got a 7-second delay. He's already hearing the questions before I'm even getting.
I think we're seeing a trend here, but Mike is a little bit faster and smarter and younger. How about that? Okay, how about this one? What itemized deduction is limited by your adjusted gross income? State taxes, property taxes, mortgage interest, charitable contribution.
Repeat the question.
What itemized deduction is limited by your adjusted gross income?
You got to stop talking to me.
State taxes, property taxes, mortgage interest, charitable contributions.
See, I'd say none of the above.
Huh? We pass?
Pass.
The answer is charitable contributions. Okay. Here, see if you get this one. What is the earliest age a widow can collect his or her deceased spouse's Social Security benefits?
60.
Yeah. That's correct, Joe. You're on the board with 1. It's 3-1. Okay. I like your style, Joe. Upon your passing, what's the tax rate assessed to your estate on assets over $5.4 million? Mike.
40%.
40% is right. I didn't even get to read the answers. 30, 40, 45, 55. That's 40%. That's correct. 4-1. A 65-year-old man has an average life expectancy of an additional 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years.
Ooh.
Joe.
15.
15. That is incorrect. Mike.
20.
20 is correct. Mike, you're killing him. All right. How about this one? Who provides the majority of long-term care? Family members, nursing homes, assisted living facilities, hospitals.
Family members.
That is correct, Joe. All right. Very good. Recovery. All right. How about this one? I don't know if you guys are old enough. What do M&Ms do? They make your tummy happy? They melt in your mouth, not your pocket?
Melt in your mouth, not in your hands.
That is the correct answer, Mike.
Okay, but that's no way. It melts in your mouth and not in your tummy or something like that.
No,
he
it's
said.
in your
I
hands.
guarantee you that's what he was saying.
Melt in your mouth and not in your hand is the correct answer. Mike, I believe, what was it, 6-2, I believe. Mike, you are the winner, and as a matter of fact, you get the piggy bank. There's not a lot in it yet.
I sandbagged it.
You're
I didn't
going
want that
to
pig anyway.
stuff it with money. And
Did you got some M&Ms for Mike? I know that's what he really wants because it doesn't melt in his hand; it melts in his tummy. All right, hey, we got to get the heck out of here, Big Al. We got to take a break. When we get back, we're going to wrap up the show. Show's called Your Money, and it's Your Wealth. Don't go anywhere. Hey, welcome back to the show. Show's called Your Money, Your Wealth. Joe Anderson and Big Al hanging out. I want to thank Michael Benier that killed me in that little game. But let me preface something. There's something in my ear. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's the booth talking to me, so I didn't hear a question. I'm going to stick with that one. I did not hear one question. So, all right, let's see how you guys did. My credibility's shot, so what the heck. Let's see the true false.
By the way, Joe, that sounds like an excuse.
A little bit.
All right, here I go. If I save $1 million in my retirement accounts, I should have enough money to maintain my standard of living in retirement. I make $250,000 a year right now. I'm going to say that's false because assuming that you don't have any other assets, $1 million in your retirement account, that's only going to last 4 years, right? If you're spending $250,000. Now, maybe you get some Social Security pensions, maybe it'll last 5, 6, 7 years, but no, that's not enough. Sometimes we think $1 million and I'm set for life. It depends upon how much you're spending.
Right. I mean, you got to. I mean, he said he made 250, so it depends on what you're. If you're spending 250, there's no way.
That's the assumption.
Yeah, that's the assumption. But look at this chart because this will help individuals. If you had $1 million, how much money can you actually save? So here's some spending rates. So if you're 50 years old, the spending rate should be around 2.5% to 3%. So that's $25,000 to $30,000. If you go to 60 years old, then you could probably bump it up a little bit to 3% to 4%. So $30,000 or $40,000. Once you get to 70 and 80, then you can start really increasing those spending rates because your life expectancy, of course, is a lot shorter. So it depends on when you're retired, depends on how much money that you have, is going to determine what type of spending rate that you should have on your overall portfolio. Now, Al, I mean, that's a huge assumption depending on what type of investment portfolio that you have, how is it taxed, what are their income sources, and so on and so forth.
Well, sure, because you can have two 60-year-olds with entirely different life expectancies, and they can have two completely different investment portfolios. If you're going to put your money in a CD and earn 0.01%, then you can't spend 4 or 5 or 6%. You're going to run out of money quickly, even at age 70 or even 80, right? So be careful. I mean, that's just a quick guideline. There's a lot of factors to this.
All right, let's flip the show to you. Let's go to a couple of different email questions. We got a couple good ones today.
We'll start with Jim in Fallbrook. I want to start my own business in retirement. Can I claim my Social Security monthly benefit when I retire and later suspend the claim if my business takes off and provides more income? Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, Jim, here's a good rule of thumb. You can still suspend your benefits. I know they changed the law in the Bipartisan Act of 2015 in November. That changed a little bit on claiming strategies, but you can still suspend your benefits. So you're claiming your benefits, you receive those benefits. Let's say you reach full retirement age. You can suspend those benefits. Your benefits will continue to increase by that delayed retirement credit by 8% per year. And let's say if you make a lot more money during that time frame, the Social Security will plug those into the overall calculation. They take a look at the highest 35 years of wages. And it's also indexed for inflation. So 35 years ago when you're making $20,000, they'll index that to make it $80,000 or whatever that calculation is. So yes, if you can suspend your benefits, you will get an increase in overall benefits because of the 8% delayed retirement credit. And if you make more money, that will help too. Let's go to the next one. I think we got time.
All right, this is from Patty in La Jolla. My daughter will inherit our home. Is there any benefit to transferring it to her while we are still living? And Patty, the answer is generally no, because if you transfer the asset before you pass away, then there's no step up in basis. So your daughter inherits your basis, and when she sells that property, it's going to be at a full gain. If you wait and it transfers upon your death, full step up in basis, and when then she sells it, if she sells it, at the same price, there's no current taxation.
Yeah, but if it's her primary residence too, she would get the 121 exclusion. So maybe she did receive it with a lower basis. She lives in it too on the last 5 years. If she's single, that's $250,000 of gain that she can exclude. So it would avoid any type of probate if you just put her on joint now, if you don't have a living trust and things like that. So there's pros and cons, but I think in the most case, it's always better to inherit because of Al said you get that full step up in basis. I'm exhausted. Hopefully you enjoyed this program. We had a lot of fun. Again, I want to thank Michael Benier for hanging out with us today. Join us again next week for another wonderful episode of Your Money, Your Wealth. Have a good weekend, everyone.